All right, everybody. Chalk your hands up and prepare to get after it. The Garage Ninja is in the house.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Lift off and the clock has started.
Good day to each and every one of you bright, shining souls, wherever you may be, and welcome to Balanced Fit Radio. We are talking about strength, meaning, and the human experience. I'm your host, Scott Schroeder, certified personal trainer, nutrition coach with specialties in corrective exercise and performance enhancement, blah, blah, blah. And this voice you hear each and every week, it is mine and will never be AI generated, as that is an affront to humanity. It's always me here, y'all. This show is where fitness meets psychology, philosophy, and real life. Because true wellness is about more than just the body, isn't it? It's about balance. Let's get into it. Joining me today in the palatial Balanced Fit Radio studio complex is a man engaged in the calling of helping people get and stay fit in body, mind, and spirit. Navy veteran, youth pastor, trainer, owner of the Garage 864, purveyor of the Garage Ninja Warrior, fellow old guy getting after it, an all-around rad dude. Shane Frank, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much, Scott. Man, it's so great to be here today. Cool setup out back. I like what you got going on.
Thanks, man.
The obstacle course and everything.
Right on.
Cool.
Sweet.
So, yeah, glad to be here, bro.
I'm glad you could make the trip. Glad to have you. I cannot wait to get into this. All right. Before we get down to it, there are some questions that need answers from you. Things people need to know about Shane Frank.
Do they really need to know, though?
All right. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
We're starting really deep now. Are you ready for this?
Ready for this.
Watermelon. Now, we're inching towards warm weather. The sun actually came out today here in the beautiful upstate of South Carolina.
Are you going to ask me if I like seedless or seeded?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you this. So spring's coming close, and that summertime will be here, and what's better in the summer than watermelon? Right. We all love watermelon. Fresh local produce is in our near future. We don't want to buy the stuff they grow in hot houses in Canada, right? Fresh local produce. So the question is, do you salt your watermelon?
So I do not salt my watermelon.
Explain.
But I think I just like the juiciness of a watermelon. It doesn't really need it. We grow our own watermelon at the house. So when it's freshly grown, I know what's going into it and don't want to add anything to it. And I just like it fresh. Now, my wife, other hands, we got the Celtic sea salt. She likes throwing a little bit on it. My kids do too because they think it tastes better.
I don't judge. I say like what you like. Right. Go either way. The thing about salt that people go way overboard with salt in everything, and plus all this garbage processed crap, that ultra processed stuff that they're shoving down our throats is so loaded with salt that your palate gets desensitized. But the thing about the chemical properties of salt is that if you use it properly, it doesn't mask the flavor. Right. It enhances the flavor because of the chemical reaction with your taste buds.
And exactly. And with watermelon, because it's already an electrolyte, that Celtic sea salt helps store it into your body. So overall, it helps out with a little bit of salt. So maybe next time I eat watermelon, I'll sprinkle some salt on it.
We'll see. I say, like what you like.
Like what I like.
You are, how long have you lived in South Carolina?
About 18 years now.
You're originally from Florida?
Polk County. Redneck Central.
All right. Pronounce the following word.
Oh, gosh.
P-E-C-A-N.
P-E-C-A-N.
Do you go pecan?
Oh, dude, see, I'm from Florida, bro. Polk County. I was trying to figure out what we were trying to get me to say. It depends what I'm saying.
Pie. You're having a
pecan pie.
Pecan pie. What about a tree?
It's a pecan tree.
Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about.
So it just depends what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
Either way, I grew up. I'm originally from just north of Atlanta, North Georgia, but my roots are from. All of my people are from either from. Okay, I have to confess. My mother's a Yankee. My mother's from Western New York.
We won't hold that against
Western New York. Okay. But she moved down here. She moved to Georgia when she was 15, I think.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
The rest of my family's from either the upstate of South Carolina or North Georgia. I'm a Southern boy. My wife is from the Midlands of South Carolina, near Newberry, in Prosperity, if anybody's ever heard of it. She says pecan. I grew up saying pecan.
Yeah.
I'm a Southern boy. She tells me I'm wrong. I have learned to accept that after 26 or 27 years.
Yeah.
27 this year. And so she got me to say pecan. I think now my Nana, who is generations deep in Cherokee County, Georgia, proper Southern lady, had one of the most beautiful Southern accents you've ever heard in your life, that Georgia Southern accent. And
just the way she said it.
taught me to say pecan.
Pecan.
That's how I grew up saying it. I think it's because Nana she wanted to elevate a little bit, right? She wanted to sound
classy.
Not like we're saying, like, I'm say this. Okay, say P-E-C-A-N, pecan. Okay, say C-E-M-E-N-T. Do you go cement or cement?
Cement.
So there's that difference, right?
Yeah.
All right. And when we lived in Houston, tons of pecan. See, I just said it there.
It's pecan if you
groves
for your wife.
In Houston, in East Texas, pecan groves are everywhere, but they say pecan, which I had never heard before. So they kind of hybrid those two.
Yeah.
All right. The name Shane is being outlawed because it's too awesome. Universally. No one can have the name Shane anymore, and you have 30 days to change it. What's your new name going to be?
Shane. Because I don't obey the law.
Okay. Fair enough.
If I had to change it and they were going to, I wouldn't even say kill me because that's the name I was given, but if they were going to do something to my family, I would fight for 30 days. And the last day, I'd probably just go with Frank.
Okay.
Because it's my last name.
I like it.
Yeah. That was a tough one because I'm not saying I don't obey
the law.
You dug
deep there for that, right? You went dark.
But that's like, my dad gave me that name.
All right. I will give you something that's a little lighter.
Okay.
Mountains, jungle, desert, or beach?
Beach, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're a Florida boy.
I love to surf. I love the salt air, the sand. Yeah. There's just nothing. Again, like we said, salt, it gives flavor and all that good stuff. The smell of it, man. Running down the beach first thing in the morning.
I agree.
The waves crashing. But then again, a cool jungle with a river through it would be neat too, as long as I'm not fighting off creatures.
That's good that you can kind of roll anywhere, but you got that beach in your soul, don't you?
Beach in my soul. Me and my dad used to go when I got to meet him later in life, shark fishing and surfing at Sebastian Inlet. So it's down deep. It's a cool experience, just hanging out with my dad fishing all night long. So the beach, and then my wife likes the beach, so the beach it is.
I love it.
Yep.
All right. Lastly, let's wrap it up here.
Okay.
What is your favorite place on earth?
Home. And I mean that deeply. Where my family is.
Right now?
Right now. I mean, it can be wherever my family is.
And where is home?
Home is in Seneca, South Carolina right now. So.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, I want, before we kind of get into your journey and how you ended up here, let's talk about where you started and how kind of build the story of how you got there. So tell us about Shane. Where did this all start?
So I'm 50. I'll be 55 in June. Come from a single mom and dad did what they did in less than a year. They got divorced from Arbondale, Florida.
That's what I was going to go.
Yeah, Arbondale, Florida. Lived there 27 years, except when I was in the Navy for a few years here.
All right, slow down.
So I'm trying to think.
Let's start.
Yeah, dude.
All right, you were born in
Arbondale, Florida in
1971. That's right, people. It starts with a 19. We're talking about the 20th century here.
We're talking about some oldness.
So what kind of kid were you? What'd you do? What were you interested in?
Not a lot. When I was younger, we used to play a lot of camo, we called it, out in the woods. There was a little 5 acres across the street, and we would just dress up in camo and dig holes in the dirt and play camo all day or go fishing. I fished a lot because there was a lake down the street. You're in Florida, so ton of lakes, bass fishing. And And it wasn't until I was like 15, 16, got into like skateboarding. I like the skateboarder.
I think you go at that age, boys who are kind of wild out and running around kind of we either go skateboard or BMX, or at least we did it at that point in time. I had a skateboard my parents gave me a skateboard when I was like 10 or so. It was fine, but it was something about BMX to me. So we had a BMX track. Somebody built a BMX track at the back of our neighborhood, so I had that available to us.
I tried to do some BMX flatland stuff, but I'd get my feet caught in the spokes all the time. So it wasn't pretty.
So growing up, playing camo, you say, so kind of like sort of
hide and seek in the woods, bro.
Yeah.
Dude, we would climb on the top. I had this one spot in the top of a tree that was full of vines, and I could climb to the top, 30 foot tall, bro, and climb up to the top. And there were so many vines, you could just hang out there. And nobody even know you're there. 30 foot high.
Stay a little closer to that mic.
Okay. 30 foot high, up in the trees. And I would just soak up the sun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you think that had any influence on you eventually joining the military?
No.
Yeah.
Not
Just
at
the thing. It's just like I talked to you and I both are in the training world, in the coaching world, and I work with kids pretty frequently, and what I tell them all the time is that stuff that we do with kids in training in the gym or wherever we're training them, we actually have to get kids used to discomfort now and to gripping, climbing, jumping, running, all these things and I tell these kids that, hey, like running and climbing and jumping over a fence and climbing a tree and swinging on a vine and jumping over a creek and or wading through
That's
a
what
creek.
we did on
That was just what we did to get places.
Yes, daily basis.
That's just how we got from here to there.
I mean, we used to rake the neighbor's yard just so we could make $10 or go pick up pop bottles or soda bottles to make $10, $15. And then we'd ride our BMX bike up to the pizza joint, which was 15 miles,
Really?
Right. Ride it up there.
Ranging.
Get us a pizza, sit and play Pac-Man or Galaxia, and then ride home. And it was safe because we could.
Yeah.
Kids nowadays, Mom, give me a ride 2 blocks down the street.
But I feel bad. We talk about the new generations and, they take a bad rap except for they didn't raise themselves.
Right. That's
we've done quite a number to kids, and some of it was from
our
care
experience.
And protection.
Right. We didn't get it, so we figured we needed to
and
give
we
it
went
to our
too
kids.
far in the other direction.
Right.
And some of it is just from a disconnect with generational responsibilities, where the chain got broken, didn't get passed along. And I think another big problem with that is that we tend, and I say I want to make sure that I'm not pointing the finger at other people, but a collective we tend to treat children more as sort of not playthings, but we idealize children to the point of where we make them part of the furniture, part of a status symbol, something that we want to show off.
Yeah.
And we spoil them, and we do just the things that we do instead of treating them like humans,
Right.
and raising them to be effective, happy, joyful, functional human beings.
Right.
But
that, like you said, that's partially our fault too, because
100%, yeah.
we were the generation that don't come in till it's dark. Don't do this. Drink out of the hose. Do this. Do that. And then we took it to the point of like, man, I don't want my kids to feel what I felt.
Yeah,
maybe then we go like you said, the
maybe
wrong
let's
way.
not give our kids lead poisoning from drinking out of the hose. So
Right.
here's
bottled water.
Here's your $4 bottled water.
Right.
Or no, not anymore. Your what, $70 Stanley Cup?
Stanley Cup, yeah.
That you're going to end up drinking Coke out of anyway.
Right. And you don't like that color? Let me go ahead and get you a different one.
Yeah, right.
Because you lost the straw out of it.
Yeah, or let's make sure it matches with your shoes at all times.
Yeah.
So back to Central Florida in the 70s. I mean, what was home like? You know, what was the day at home like?
Mom worked all the time. I would go to school, come home. Yeah, that was it. Mom worked at Tampa Electric for like 40 years, all the time. And again, she was not saying she was looking for a man, but it felt like in my life, you're gonna make me dig deep because I don't really talk about this. But
well, I was going to ask you because you said mom a lot, but you haven't said dad.
Dad wasn't really in my life until I was like 16. I would see him, and again, I would never do this to a kid, but my mom would tell me he was not the best person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, single mom till I was 11, 12 years old, and she met a man in prison through AA. They were alcoholic. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom was an alcoholic. Mom went through AA, but she met a guy in prison. He was getting out, and then they got married. So, deeply life changed from single parent till 10, 11-ish. She got married to a Pennsylvania Dutch guy who spent 5 years in prison, and from not having a man figure into my life to having a very stern, very, very stern man figure in my life. It was a different. So
how did you react to that? What age were you?
11.
How'd you react
not
to
good.
that? Yeah.
I mean, he has passed away, and I'm not going to say anything about him, but it was a lot different than I was used to. At the age of 16 and a half, I moved out. Was
it stern that you needed, or was it too much?
It was...
Or both? A little bit of both?
Let's just say a little bit of both. Because I did, being with a single mom, I probably did backtalk my mom a little bit, but I didn't know better because I wasn't raised by a man till 11, 12. And then he came in being the youngest of 10 kids, Pennsylvania Dutch, and his dad was pretty harsh on them. So he only knew one thing. So we'll just leave it at that because...
Do you think that period, I don't, my story isn't like that. You know what the interesting thing I've come to find out along the way is that we view ourselves with the prism of us at the center, and then everything radiates out, and we view everything, we necessarily view everything through the lens of our own experience.
Right.
And we tend to think that ours is the extreme. It's either the worst or the best.
Right.
But whatever problems and traumas and issues that we might have, the thing that one of the most valuable lessons I've learned over the last 20 years or so, particularly in the last 10, is that everybody has got
issues.
Something.
Right.
So, and it's one of the things that helps me remind myself to be more kind.
100%.
Is whoever you're dealing with that might be having the worst day of their life, you may not even know why they're having the worst day of their life. So give a little grace.
Grace is a big thing too. Yeah. So 16. So that happened. We'll just leave it at that. My brother was born.
You got a little brother.
Got a little brother. He's 10 years.
Were you an only child up until then?
Only child. Well, I had, half from my dad's side that came and seen me, but I don't really remember them much. Yeah. But then I had a half.
So they were much older than you.
Much older than me. And then, like I said, skateboarded, did stuff like that. I'm not saying I had a bad life. I got what I needed.
You had your life.
I had my life. 16 and a half, I did move out.
Yeah, so did you, all right, in high school?
Yep.
Before 16.
Yep.
What was high school like? Did you play any sports, any activities? You have friends? Were you in a clique?
I skateboarded. So again, being a single parent, my uncle was a father or dean of a Episcopalian private school, and my mom put me in that. Not that I was able to afford that, but because he was the dean, I got to go to that. And that played a lot in my life because I was around doctors, lawyer kids, and yeah. And I don't want to say poor boy, but that's what kind of the take on it was. Like, my clothes were a little shorter in the leg length, and the shirts were secondary from the people from last year. So, but my mom did what she could and provided what she could the best she could. So I didn't even go to high school until 8th grade. So I was in a blue pants, white shirt, logo on the till I was in 8th grade. And then when I went 8th grade, I learned how to skate and hung out with the kids that I liked.
Clothes got a little different. Hair got a little different.
You remember Jinkos?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a reference not a lot of people are going to get.
Right.
So leading up to 16 and you moved out, did you drop out of school?
Nope.
Stayed in school.
Stayed in school. So that's when I called my dad and was like, well, my mom called my dad and said, hey, we don't know where he's at. He left the house. I was in my car, had everything that I thought I needed, and finally went to his house about a week later, and he was like, little trailer, had a small room, 6x8 room, just enough for a bed, and he told me I could stay there with him. So I moved out for a while, but then I moved in with him, which it was just like moving out on my own. And then I think my senior year, I moved in with a buddy that was in the Navy, but I moved in with his wife because they needed a roommate. So, 17 years old, trying to help pay bills for her and going to school and things like that. But I graduated.
So you became, you adultified yourself pretty early.
Pretty quick, yes. And then
you feel like that was, was that, do you feel like that had a benefit to you? Do you look back on that and go, you know what, that helped, or that was too much?
If you really want to know the truth, my wife tells me all the time, there was moments in my life that I totally just blacked. And until we talk about it, I don't even think, like me talking to you today, even about me moving in with the guy. It was my dad's second wife's daughter-in-law. Like, until you ask that question, it's something that doesn't happen in my brain or make me think about, because it's one of those times in life, like, did it make me who I am? Yes. Do I care about it? No. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I live for tomorrow.
Fair.
I don't live for yesterday. Yesterday is in the past. You can't change it. So why even think about it? And I hate to say think about it like in that, but it's things that created who I am and probably made me who I am. But there's a lot of things in my past that I do not like about myself. So I change them.
Yeah. And it's valuable to be able to have that perspective. I did a piece recently on something that I was inspired to write and to speak from someone in my life. I'm going to make sure that person stays anonymous, although I don't think they would mind me talking about it. But the subject, something came up, a long story short, of the statement, I don't like myself, or I don't like myself right now, or I don't like myself very much, or sometimes I don't like myself. And the reaction around it was, pearl clutching and gasping, don't say that. It's like, no, let them say that.
Right.
Let them talk through this and get to the other side rather than stuffing that down in and not making adjustments off of it. Because quite honestly, there are legitimate reasons to not like yourself. If you're acting like an ass,
right,
which I did for half of my life.
Me too.
And so I'm on board with you right there.
Yeah.
I look back at a lot of things and go, boy, I do not like the person that I was
used
then.
to be. Yes.
And if I didn't recognize that, how would I have ever changed that?
Yes. You have to have good, bad. You have to have light, dark. And that's what I tell my kids all the time. They're like, Dad, what happened? And I'm like, there's things you just don't need to know about me, because not that I don't want you to know. It's just things that you don't need to know. But if you ask me, I'll tell you. And I'm not, and there's things that I'm ashamed of. There's things that I've done that like, God, why would I even do something stupid like that? But then again, if you continue to do stupid stuff, or do you change and say, I want to be a better man. I want to be something better for this world, and that's
shame can be a positive motivator.
Shame
and it should be.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to, we'll talk about the shame that my wife gave me a little bit later in the podcast.
Yeah, we talked about that for a few minutes before. I can't wait to get to that.
So we'll talk about that a little bit. So 16, I graduated, worked in a watch shop for a little bit, and then was probably, I'm not going to say the dumbest person at our school, but out of 325, I was like 315. I'm not saying I'd barely pass, but I graduated.
Hey, know what you know and know what you don't know. If you know yourself, you're pretty good.
Right. So, and then I just was like, I need to get out of Florida. Stuff that I just need to get. I need to get out of Florida. And so I was like, I love the ocean, like we said earlier. Love to surf. And I was like, the Navy. That'll get me out. They'll pay me. They'll do all this other stuff. And then the recruiter lied.
No.
So
hold on, everybody. Newsflash.
Recruiters lie.
Recruiters lie.
So my two stipulations, I want to be on a ship so I could surf the world, and I want to get out of Florida.
Okay. I know that you did one. You got out of Florida. Did
Hold
you
on.
do the other one?
Hold on. Do you know? So,
no. Did you get stationed at Mayport?
I live in, where do I live in? Florida, Arbondale. You know how far Orlando is from Arbondale?
I don't.
45 minutes.
Okay.
You know where the naval base was for boot camp?
Yeah, in
Orlando. 45 minutes away.
Well, at least you didn't go to Great Lakes.
Jeez.
Would you have rather gone to Great Lakes?
I wanted to get out of Florida. Get out of boot camp.
But you didn't get stationed at Mayport, did you?
No.
Or Pensacola? No, you wouldn't have.
No, Jacksonville.
Oh, well, yeah.
Florida.
Mayport.
Yes.
Right?
We're in dry dock. Yes.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Florida. Mayport.
Ugh.
Then, after we got out of dry dock, I spent 6 months in Charleston. So,
just kept creeping up the coast a little bit, right?
So, for a year and a half, I was in Florida where I wanted to get out of.
Yeah.
Get away from everybody. So, yes. That's another story in itself. And then
you mentioned when you moved out, I think you said you lived with somebody that was in the Navy.
He was in the Navy.
Did that influence you?
No, I think it didn't influence. Like now that you say it, I'm like, okay, maybe that's why I said let's go Navy. You know what I'm saying? Because he was in it, and I was living with his wife, and she was like, "Oh, he loves it. He's traveling on the boat," and I was like, "Oh, traveling on the boat. That sounds awesome because I can surf." You can't surf when you're in the Navy, or you can, but you can't bring the board on board.
Right.
I found that out very quickly.
Yeah. If you
after I bought one,
if you got shore duty at
different
at Virginia Beach or something like that, maybe. But yeah,
I was on an FFG 22 fast frigate. I tried to hide the surfboard and back aft, and within about 3 hours, they threw it off the boat.
I was going to say, wow. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
So yes.
So you eventually got out of Florida.
Got out of
and
Florida.
Did not surf.
Did not.
So
surf.
What?
I did surf in Barbados. I rented a board from some locals.
Not a lot of waves down there.
A lot of reefs. It was scary, but after a bunch of red stripes, I went out.
Okay, then. Yeah. Liquid courage. How long were you in the Navy?
8 years total.
Now, there's a lot of stories that we can talk about painting and barnacle scraping and all the crap that comes along with that they don't tell you, that the recruiter doesn't tell you.
I was a fireman a recruit, so I worked in the engineering department. So I worked
You guys drilled constantly, right?
Yeah, and I worked on all the diesels, the H-packs. I mean, this room, triple it, quadruple it, and that's what the diesel was. It's huge.
Yeah.
And we worked on those all the time. Loud noise. I made salt water into fresh water, all that good stuff. So, yeah.
What would you say was the highlight of your time in the Navy?
Can I say getting out of the Navy?
Yes, you can.
That was my highlight.
You know, there's a lot out there. Let's talk about Navy for a second. By the way, most of you know that I was a Marine, so we talked about Grace earlier, so I gave Shane his Grace, and we're not going to do that whole inter-service rivalry. It's kind of boring,
Right.
Whatever.
I was his Uber. Come on.
But there's a lot of in the podcast space, in the veteran podcast space, there's a lot of SEALs.
Yeah.
And I think that but Jocko talks about this a lot too, that if you want to become, if you want to be a commando, or let's just break it down to this. You want to shoot guns and blow things up.
Right.
Then maybe the very worst thing that you can do is join the Navy to go into the SEAL teams, because your chances of making that are so slim. And even you could be the most high performing individual on earth. It takes one slip, one injury, whatever. And guess what? You can't just go home.
No.
And you just can't just keep going. If you get sent out of SEAL training, you're going into the fleet.
You're going down.
And there you stay.
Yep.
And you better hope you're smart
100%.
enough to get a good rating where you're not doing something just awful.
Right.
But you're going to be painting ships. You're going to be scraping and swabbing and doing all the stuff. And
doing
that's
all
what
the grunt stuff.
The Navy's a bitch, man. They don't talk about that. And the SEAL teams get a lot of press and glory, and that ain't no fun either.
No.
You better be ready. The worst day of being a SEAL is not like anything else on earth. But so you got to be mentally prepared for that. But if you want to be a soldier, you want to carry a rifle, like I said, shoot guns and blow things up, the best thing you can do is probably join the Army.
Join the Army, yes.
And just go in the infantry.
Right.
You can work your way up. You can go all the way up to the unit there. You can get into airborne and special forces and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So you can have a pretty elite career if you can make it through that. But, man, that's a chance you take joining the Navy to get into the SEAL teams.
I trained with them. Actually, again, the recruiter lied. I took my ASVAB test in 10th grade, and he told me it was awesome, and it wasn't. So
you can do whatever you want.
Right. So, and I had a degree. So I just take that back. When before I went in, I took a 2-year degree, tech degree in AutoCAD drafting. So I had engineering underneath me. So, but the recruiter told me my ASVABs was good. I'd get any job I wanted, especially in engineering. They didn't tell me like engineering, like working on diesel engines and stuff like that. But the night I went in, they pulled me out of my bunk and called me stupid, idiot, are you retarded? Don't want to offend anybody. And I looked and I was like, I don't know what you mean, sir. And he's like, your ASVAB scores were below par, and they made me spend 8 weeks to learn how to read and write because they said I was stupid in this FAST program. So the first 8 weeks of boot camp, I was learning to read and write. The first week I made hundreds on everything.
And fold your underwear.
Right, and fold my underwear. So I thought after the first week of being in there and they told me I'd make hundreds on everything, I could go back to my platoon. Well, again, they lied. I spent 8 weeks there. And once I finished the 8-week program, which during that time I was already pissed that they did that to me because, again, I had a degree in architectural drafting and blah. That's when my Navy career kind of took a spin, going like, I will do what I have to do to get out of here and get an honorable discharge, but I'm not going to do anything they want me to do. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever. So they put me in SEAL training for about 4 weeks. Told me I had to do that. They were going to break me. They did not break me. And after 4 weeks, the second 4 weeks of the FAST program, they put me back into another company for another 8 weeks in boot camp. So I spent 16 weeks in boot camp. But I knew how to fold my underwear and shirts.
If you make it through the other side of that, you got some intestinal fortitude.
Right. So. And they wanted me to be the commander of that, and I told them no.
All right.
I should have, hindsight, but a 21-year-old boy who already had a rough time with a stepdad, did not want to listen to authority. And so 16 weeks. So, yeah, SEAL training is no joke. No joke. Them guys are ruthless and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
that was a side note. Sorry about
All right.
that.
Yep. So the highlight was getting out.
Getting out.
Understood?
100%.
There's a lot of people that have that. You do
Yeah.
your thing and you go. You serve and you go. So
And I believe every 18-year-old person should serve their country
in some capacity,
in
yes,
some
they should.
capacity, so they understand what it means to be patriot.
Yep.
They should, because that way they respect, and I'm not even say the law, but respect our country, defend it, respect it,
And lose a sense of entitlement.
right,
Gain a sense of perspective.
right,
And you know, like we allude to, I don't want everyone to serve in the military.
No.
I do not want there.
Yes.
Not everybody should be in the military, but there are ways, and we need to create more ways that young people can get out and serve, and especially pre-college.
right,
When you have no idea who you are, you're trying to get your feet underneath you as a human, and we just throw you right into
The world.
drinking and partying, fornicating for 4 years if you make it.
right,
And then you're saddled with all that debt.
right.
But that is a whole other
That
conversation.
is a
So
whole nother conversation. Yes.
you got out. How old were you when you got out?
22.
22.
22.
And did you have a plan?
No plan. Go back to Arbondale. Went back to Arbondale. When you get out of the military, it's a different world. You see things differently. Not proud. Got into things that I probably shouldn't have. Got things I shouldn't have got into in the military in itself. Got out. I only served 2 years active, 6 years inactive. So I got out 2 years. Still got an honorable discharge. So I wanted to make sure I did that. No matter what I did, I knew I had to do that, because just as a man, you don't want to have that under your belt saying you got kicked out for what. So I kept myself clean that way. But when I got out, trying to cope with reality and not having anything and knowing, I got into a little bit of trouble, meth, weed, crack, all that good stuff, 6-8 months. And then finally woke up one day and was like, what the heck am I doing with my life?
After 6 or 8 months.
6-8 months is all.
That's pretty fortunate.
Yes, very fortunate. Very fortunate.
What was the catalyst that woke you up?
I woke up in a house that I was just staying with this girl. She was a nurse. No relations besides just staying with her. But I walked out in the living room, and there was people still up after 2 days or whatever. And I looked around and I was like, oh God, there's more to life than this. And I grabbed my book bag, because that's all I had is a couple pair. And I opened the window in the bedroom and walked out and never went back.
I got to say, I don't know what is in your character that sparked that, because that's pretty rare.
Very.
For someone to extricate themselves from that situation with self-realization without actually hitting rock bottom, losing everything.
Well, I did. I had a 69 Volkswagen Bug that I wrecked one night because we were out gouging mushrooms in the field. Should have got a DUI that night, or at least some type of something. Nobody was hurt. So that car was gone. I paid for a trailer that was right next to my dad's when I was in the military. That got dismantled because I couldn't pay for it anymore, and that's why I was living with this. So to me, I hit rock bottom. To me, I hit to the point where I can't do this anymore. I cleaned myself up. Like you said, I don't know why or how. When I put my mind to something, it's like it clicks. And I mean, it's like,
where do you think that came from?
The man upstairs is all I can say. I don't really, I know he had a greater purpose for me, and that's why he kept me out of all the trouble that I should have been in. I mean, drunk intoxication in the military. I got put in jail for 4 hours one day, overnight the next. Military, you know what I'm saying? Just being stupid. Never really got in trouble for it. So that's the only thing I can think of. I truthfully don't know why, but that's why I think two things. I'm a good trainer. I'm a decent dad and a great husband, because it is. It's like when I set my mind to something, there's goals in my head. And I try to instill that in a lot of people. Like, you can do it. We can do it. We can do it together. You can do it by yourself. Because everybody has a choice every morning to wake up and go like, oh, I'm going to walk left, or I'm going to walk right, or I'm going to walk straight. You have a choice to make, and you can either better yourself, worsen yourself, or just stay the same. So I don't really know what clicked in my brain, but I know I woke up and was like, this isn't the life I want. So
I'm glad you said that. People need to hear that
right.
you can rely on others that will help you,
Yep.
help elevate you, but you can also rely on yourself. That
Yourself.
you can recognize something in yourself to get yourself out of.
And I think when you realize that you can rely on yourself is when you can really make it, because people, I don't care who they are, will always you'll put yourself down. So if you put yourself down, don't you think people will put you down or not be able to? So again, got myself cleaned up. Somehow got a job with the city.
Doing what?
Underground utilities, like reading water meters at first, and I was good at it.
So you said what are we now? 22, 23?
Yeah, 22, 23.
All right. And so this is the gap that I wanted to talk about, because when we were communicating with your bio, I've got this stuff at the beginning, I got this stuff from 40 on, and we got a gap there. So what are we doing in this mid-20s to
working for
40?
the city, bro? That's what I did. I worked and worked and worked.
Are you still in Florida?
Yeah, I'm still in Florida. So I'm working in Florida. I just worked and worked and worked, man. I was trying to get myself better. I worked before I got the job at the city, I was a cook at like Checkers. And that was the worst thing ever. And I was like riding my bike. I mean, I rode my bike 10 miles to get to work just so I could get myself above water, so I could get myself clean. And so I did that for probably 5 months. And then once I got myself clean, the city hired me. My mom worked for Tampa Electric, the little electric company, so she knew people, which helped me out. So I got that job with the city, and that's all I did. I worked, and if they needed somebody to do call at night, I was the call guy, because I didn't really have a life. I was just trying to get myself clean. And then my brother started hanging out. I started hanging out with my brother, younger brother, and he wakeboarded. So we went to the ski school. You know, we would skate. I started getting into inline.
Getting back into physical stuff.
Yep. But I inline skated instead of skateboarding, because the board didn't want to stick to my feet in an older age. But inline, it helped, and that's what my brother was into. So I was 25, he's 15. He didn't have a vehicle, so I would take him around to all these spots. And I'm like, if I'm taking him around to these places, I might as well skate with him. So we got pretty good. And then one of his friends, Shane Bonifay, who is a famous wakeboarder, had a ski school in Lake Alfred, and we went over there a couple times. And that's all I did. I either skated, wakeboard, worked, because I was trying to make sure I could make a living.
All right. Well, how did we get from? So
how did we get from Florida to South Carolina?
You've been doing what you're doing now for 14 years, and that goes back to about 40. So how did we get from that period of time, which seems like it was pretty stable overall,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Pretty decent time in your life?
Yeah, it was good. It was
Okay.
good.
Take me up to 40.
So 27, this hot little chick walked through the ski school. And I can always tell her I can watch her bounce. And I had a rule that I would never date anybody from the ski school because they came and gone. And I was 26, 27 at that time. But she caught my eye. We started talking. Long story short, we hung out for a while, and then probably 4 to 6 months into it, her best friend asked her to go to church. We went to church. And then on the way to Orlando one night, again, trying to cut this short, just asked Jesus into my heart. Holy Spirit filled me. And within 6 months, I became a youth pastor and working for the city. And then 8 years after that, got a call to come to South Carolina to help a church. Again, my weight.
Where did the call come from?
From Arbondale,
Okay,
from our hometown. This whole time, even wakeboarding, I was pretty fit. I was 177 pounds when I met Nicole, so I was fit during that time.
And for perspective, for those of you watching out there, how much do you weigh right now?
185.
Okay, so you were a fit dude, right?
Fit dude.
Okay.
But I was wakeboarding and all that all the time. Well, I got into youth pastor, marriage life. 18 years ago, we moved up here to be full-time youth pastor. I gave up after 14 years of being in the city, gave that up, retired or resigned. Full-time youth pastor up here. And then we'll just move into 40. We're sitting on the couch. I was 39 in May. I remember this very well. There's a lot of things I don't remember in my life. This one I remember well. We're sitting on our couch. June is my birthday, and I'm sitting there, I'll relax. And my wife takes my hat off, and she rubs the head. Goes, "Oh, I've always loved your bald head." And I've cut my hair pretty bald since military. And she's like, "Next month, you're going to be 40. Now, she's 11 years younger than me. So she just turned 44 last week. And then she put her hand on my belly and said, "You are fat."
Oh,
and
womp, womp, womp.
womp. And at that moment, we've been together for forever. Open relationship, not relationship, but open conversation, honesty. And she was like, "Listen, you come home from the church every night." We've had 3 kids then. You come home from church every night and you don't want to play with your kids. Your back hurts. Your knee hurts. You come in and you sit on the couch. You're not the guy that you used to be. And at that moment, I was like, excuse it, my French, I was like, shit. She's like, "It's not that I don't find you attractive. I love you. But if you want to be the dad that you said you wanted to be, and the husband that you said you wanted to be, and the person you wanted to be, you have to do something." Now, she's a nutritionist, and I have fluctuated my weight since 27. Once we got together, my weight up and down, up and down. I tried everything in my head that I thought. And as a man that can 6 months get away from meth, food was hard for me. But she told me I was fat, and it was a reality check, and there was only one thing I could change out of fat, bald, and old. And I did it for me, but I did it for my family. And after that, within 10 months, I lost 80 pounds.
Wow.
Fast. I ran.
You know what? And you know what? It doesn't take much.
Not at all.
It doesn't take much. I didn't want to interrupt your story because people need to hear this. And by the way, you got a gift with that one.
Right.
A partner in life that will talk to you like that
Straight.
with love,
Right.
but tell you what you need to hear.
100%.
Because I always talk about what's the thing that's going to start you and keep you going with a fitness or wellness regimen, and that is your why. You have to find your why, and your why is so very clear.
Very clear.
To have someone, because not everybody has.
No.
People will lie. And it's not necessarily that people will lie for nefarious reasons. People will lie because they think they're protecting you.
It's been to the point she asked me, hey, what, do you like these pants on me? And I'll say no. She'll like, what? And I'm like, I'm not going to lie to you. We have to be honest with not only yourself, but your spouse. If two people become one, if you're lying to her, you're lying to yourself. You know what I'm saying? So yes, it's a very good gift to have somebody that can be honest. But we
need to not be so fragile that we can't hear the truth we need to hear.
That's the other thing. A lot of times people don't tell somebody the truth because they know they can't handle it. I don't have a lot of friends because they ask me the truth and they can't handle it. My wife has always told me I'm not a good friend. I'm a good person to talk to, not a good friend. And it's only because sometimes I tell you what you need to hear, but you don't want to hear. And that's tough in life.
I think you need a balance.
Yes.
Those two. You got that friend, what's the meme that the best friend will help you bury the body or whatever it is. But, the best friend is able to give you a little bit of both of those.
A little bit of wisdom.
A little bit of comfort.
Right.
But a little bit of reality.
Yeah.
But that's a hard balance to strike because I find that I lean I lean one way myself, which is you need to hear this.
Right.
Because you got you run into a lot of people that have a lot of codependence and protection in their lives.
This is my thing. If you don't want the truth, don't ask me the question.
Don't ask the question.
Because
it's a simple concept, isn't it?
I'm going to give you the truth out of love. And since 27, I've loved Jesus. I've loved him before, but I don't want somebody to lie to me. If I ask you a question and say, hey, what do you think about this? And you tell me what I think I want to hear, that's not helping me one bit. But if you tell me what I need to hear, that's the truth, you will change my life dramatically.
Yeah.
So,
kindness is not always soft.
It is not. So
at 40, you were fat. You were chunky. You were beefy.
Chunky. Yes.
You were not in your best shape.
Not in my best shape.
And the catalyst for that was your beautiful wife and your kids. And you're not the man.
Right.
That you're not the man that you want to be.
Right.
Or that you should be.
That I should be or was created to be. Yes.
So in your journey, it's ongoing because
continuous,
and especially the older we get, the more we have to adjust and we have to do different things. You can't stay static in that.
Right.
Is that at what point because I had down here because I wanted to ask you when we got to when we bridged that gap to get to 40, the first question right up top there is, what kind of shape were you in at 40?
I was, yes.
So we got that one. And so where you are now with the Garage 864 and your online stuff with the Garage Ninja, that's what they call. So, all right, before we get there, when did you get, how long have you been running your business?
So 14 years.
Yeah.
So turned 40, got in shape, again, youth pastor. When people see, I'm not even going to say dramatic, when people see you're bettering your life, getting in shape, doing all that stuff, everybody thinks it's a quick fix, but they always ask, how'd you do it? Platform of a big church, 400. I had a youth group of 100. But they seen that, and we did small groups at the church. So people were like, Shane, we noticed you just lost, this amount of weight. How'd you do it? And I would say nutrition, just moving, flipping tires, all that good stuff. Flipping tires, running, sprints, hits. And they're like, can you do a small group like that? And I was like, well, as a pastor, I could do a small group, but what I want to do is teach people spiritual fitness and physical fitness. So I created a program, a 10-week program that came in with simple things like needing a spotter. When you're lifting heavy stuff, you need a spotter. Also, that's physically. Spiritually, you need a spotter too. You need somebody to keep you accountable. What you put in your body physically is good for you. Spiritually, same thing. You can't just look at porn and this stuff and be the man that you're supposed to be or the person. So I created this 10-week program. We did that for about 6 to 8 months at the church every Sunday, and I got tired of carrying everything to the church. So after about 6 months of doing these programs, 4 or 5 programs, I told them I was going to stop. And there was 4 or 5 ladies and a couple men that said, hey, can we come work out with you in the morning? And I was like, yeah, but you have to be there at 6:30 because that's when I work out so I can get to church. And then they were coming in and they were like, hey, by the way, since you're wasting your time with us, here's $5. And at this time, I was like, wow, this is crazy. So I was talking to another trainer, and his place was called Image Fitness. And he's like, you just need to branch off since you're training and call it Image Fitness Part 2. So for about 3 weeks, I started branding Image Fitness Part 2 in my garage. And all of a sudden, people started going like, at the church, like, oh, you're losing weight. Where are you going? We're going to the garage. Going to the garage. And Image Fitness went away, and the garage came about. I didn't have a lot of equipment, but I had a lot of people at church that had a lot of equipment that didn't use it at their house.
Interesting.
So
interesting how that comes together.
Right. So they would be like, hey, Shane, I've got an elliptical at my house, but I'm coming to your house to train 3 days a week. Can I just bring my elliptical over there? Yes, you may. And I've probably only got less than, not a lot in my garage because a lot of people give me stuff. So God's blessed me with that. So 14 years I've been in the garage. The garage became the garage just because of that. And then again, I would go home. People were like, hey, Shane, I can't make it today at 7:30. Can we do something after work? I'll pay you money. And I've got 2 other guys that wanted to come work out. And I was like, oh, $15 an hour. Pastors don't make a lot of money. I was like, this would be a good side gig. But if I'm going to do that, I need to really learn, not just read. And I was doing CrossFit style stuff, and I was getting the WODs of the day. But then I was like, I need to really like learn this. And I love to learn, even though the Navy said I was stupid.
You're so dumb.
You're so dumb. So I went ahead and got my ISSA certification, been certified for 14 years now. And every 2 years I get more stuff and all that. So I got certified.
So he's official. He's educated. You can trust him.
Right. Right. I'm not just a guy. And then it just started blossoming. And then next thing I know, I've got 5, 6, 7 a.m. workout spots, and then lunchbox because people couldn't come. And I had an hour and a half lunch, and people were like, hey, can we come? And I would drive.
I was surprised myself to learn how big of a lunch workout crowd there is.
Oh, there's huge. And
especially now these days with so many people working remotely.
Right.
That they got more freedom and flexibility with that. But I really was surprised to see how big of a, because I also have a membership at a local national chain gym down the road. And whenever, it was rare for me, but whenever I would find myself in there in that 11:30 to 1 o'clock time frame, it's packed.
It's packed, yeah. Because they're trying to get it in. Because they know if they get home from work, they're just going to sit on the couch. Yeah. So yeah, the garage came about like that.
You touched on this a little bit when you talked about how your faith folds into your training. But what's your mission? What's your goal with the Garage 864?
Break it down simple. Eat clean, train dirty, love God. 3 little factors that I think have to come in play in my life and in everybody's life as a Christ follower, loving God, is and I say train dirty, you just have to put in the work, and eating clean.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get caught up, but just before nutrition, I think a lot of people get paralyzed by so much information that's available to them, whether it's YouTube, which is absolutely the greatest thing that's ever been invented for communicating information and getting information out to people and learning. But there's so much out there, and people get caught up in the paralysis of perfection. Well, I have to have this perfect workout for me, and I got to have this equipment. I got to have the right clothing and all of this nonsense. When it comes down to what you call workout, what was your term? Train dirty.
Train dirty. Just
move,
man.
Just put on your nasty shoes and a ratty pair of shorts and whatever T-shirt is the first thing that you grab and get up and move, right?
Just move.
The biggest thing in the world is putting your shoes on.
Yes, and movement. I had a client, Miss Mary. She just died this year, 105 years old. 105. She drove to my house until she was 100, and we were working with her balance and her foot pressure, and I noticed her foot pressure was going a little weaker, and I was scared she was either going to hurt somebody or hurt herself because she couldn't press the brake fast enough. So I removed her keys. We didn't remove her keys. I shouldn't say it like that. She gave her keys up because she knew but she would always tell me, she's like, Shane, as soon as I stop moving, I'm dying. She said, movement is the key. So even when the last 8 months of her life, I went to her house twice a week, moved her hands, moved her feet, moved her legs, and they would tell me the only joy she has is, and I'm not saying it's just because of me, coming over and moving her body. She loved it. And she said, that's when they put her in a bed, she said, this is this is going to kill me. Yeah. Putting me in this bed.
And that's so important for people to hear. I talk a lot about, move like your kid self again.
Right.
And if you think back, and gosh, we touched on this earlier with how kids are being raised these days with the lack of movement that they get. But if you think back to when you're a kid, and the greatest joy that you derive is just that freedom of running, jumping, falling, flipping, flying, climbing.
All that.
All the things. And it's just pure life and pure joy. And we give that up like the frog in the pot of boiling water. We give that up slowly, incrementally over time to the point of where we're completely immobile in our 40s or earlier.
I got people coming to me. I'm, again, 55 this year. And if you look at my Instagram, every day I'm hanging and doing stupid stuff or whatever. I got people coming up to me in Walmart going like, hey, you're the garage guy. I watch you every day. How do you do that? And I'm like, I just do it. And they're like, but how did you get that way? It's been 14 years that I've been working on myself.
So speaking of all of your hanging and swinging and all the stuff that we see on your Instagram and your other stuff, the Garage Ninja.
How'd it come about?
How'd you get into Ninja? Because you and I met at a Ninja gym.
At a Ninja gym. So, again, youth pastor, lost a lot of weight. My youth used to tell me all the time, Shane, you need to get on, you need to try that, you need to do that. And that was, 15, 14, 13 years ago. And I was like, there's no way. But I loved the show.
Talking about Ninja Warrior.
Ninja Warrior. Yeah, I loved the show. And I started training people for Spartan races. And I started doing that, and they're like, it's the same thing. I'm like, it's not the same thing. But my knees started hurting after doing Beast, 14 and a half miles up and down. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And the show was just, I loved it. I loved just the show. I don't know what it is about. I think it's truthfully, a lot of people say, the competitors or the ninjas, they're competing against each other. With this year, they are kind of doing side by side. But I tell them now, I know it's you against the course,
and yourself,
up there. And that's what I like to have competition. So Anderson, South Carolina, they were having a Holly Jolly Fair. Brett, Grace, Booty, we're going to be there. 3 American Ninja Warriors in town.
By the way, tell people who Brett, Grace, and Booty are. Brett,
Grace, and Booty are the owners of Motive School of Movement in Greenville on Webb. Is it 16 Webb?
Webb Road.
Webb Road.
It's 1. I don't know what the address is.
It's
on Webb Road.
It's on Webb Road.
I've only worked there for 2 years.
Yeah. So, I know how to get there. GPS helps. So, they were going there because Ninja Coffee from is it Ninja Coffee here in Easley?
Yeah.
Ninja Coffee was going to be there. And these 3 American Ninja Warriors were going to be at this Holly Jolly craft fair. And I was like, we're going. I'm meeting these guys.
That's
because
Brett and Grace Sims, and they're married. They met on the show. And Booty Cothran. If you've ever watched American Ninja Warrior and you see the old guy on there, the teeny tiny little old bald-headed guy who's just getting after it on there, that's who we're
Possum
talking about.
From
Possum Kingdom.
So, in Possum Kingdom, the church that I went had a youth camp out there. So, it kind of clicked. I knew where Possum Kingdom was. So, either way, they were there at this thing, and I told my wife, we're going to this. You can buy whatever you want. I just want to meet these 3 ninjas. And I got my picture with them, and I'm sitting there, and starstruck because they're on the show, and I just love the show. And
Brett's an OG.
He is an OG. So I got my picture with him that day, and I was talking to Booty. Booty's an awesome guy, and I was talking to him, he's like, hey, so we're opening the Ninja Gym in Greenville. It's blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh. And he's like, you should stop by sometime. And I do go VA in Greenville. And I was like, well, I got a appointment in Greenville next week. He's like, here's my number. Text me when you're there. And I was like, oh my God, this ninja wants to show me the Ninja Gym. So this has been 5 years ago. And I get there. And he shows me around, and I was like, oh, my God. And it's not even fully. Grace is still welding stuff,
They did. They built
that thing.
Oh, my God. When you say we built this with our bare hands, they literally built that place with their bare hands.
So, again, I stopped doing Spartan. I went there, and I can remember Booty's like, did something, and I was like, hey, can I try these? And I've got a video on my first time trying Ninja, and I tried to go from the wing nut to wing nut.
Yeah. And you have one of those in your...
I do now. Yeah. And I literally let go too soon, went to the floor. You can hear Booty laughing. But truthfully, that's what got me started. And then I was just like, in my head, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to be... I'm 50. And I was like, I'm 50 years old. I can do this. And it just gives me something to do every day. And then I have kids, and we adopted a girl. She's 10 now. She loved the show too. And it just gave me something to do with her because she liked Ninja. And I was like, oh, if she likes it, I can. And I hate to say, I can take her there and then I can do stuff because back then I thought I'm too old to really do Ninja in my heart. And then all of a sudden it was like the thing I love. And I want people. The more you get into the community of Ninja, you understand it's not about competing against each other. It's about competing against the course. And we want people to succeed. That's it. Like, we'll be at competitions, and if I trip on something or something spins to the left and it doesn't spin to the right, I'll be like, my competition, hey, by the way, when you step on that, it's going to spin to your left and right. And people go like, well, aren't you competing against him? I'm like, first of all, if he would have went sooner than me, he would have told me, because we want to complete the course. We don't want to compete against each other. Yeah. So,
and I have worked those competitions, and it's a community.
It is a community.
It's cool to watch, and seeing that gym full of 70 or 80 competitors, and you guys all you run in age groups and running waves, and seeing everybody who's either up in the warm up area or in the spectator area cheering their friends and their fellow competitors on. It's really cool. Yeah. And by the way, we're talking about, here's some free pub for you, Brett and Grace and Bob and Booty. So you're welcome. I work there also. I coach and do private lessons and work there. But we want to make sure that you know what we're talking about. If you are in the Greenville area and you want to do some cool Ninja Warrior training that you can't get very many places in the world, or you're into parkour, or you want to learn some tricking, some backflips and stuff
All
like
that
that,
stuff.
or you just want to kind of go in there like I did the first time I walked in there and just walked around like you said. I was like,
It's amazing.
Where's this place been my whole life?
It's an adult playground.
And I just ran around. I just used it as a workout. And
Right.
eventually I started learning how to do the stuff. But it's Motive School of Movement, and it is 10 Webb Road.
I was close.
Unit 100, but there's only 2 things in the building, and you can see it on the sign. So I wanted to make sure I got that in there. 10 Webb Road, Greenville, South Carolina. Motive
amazing
Motive
place.
School of Movement.
It is
It's
an amazing
amazing.
place,
It's a really cool group of people that work there too. So kind of bringing this in a little bit, you are in your 50s now.
50.
What are some of the challenges, and how would you kind of guide people at that stage of life with fitness? Because you can't work out, you cannot train in your 50s like you could even in your 30s.
Right.
Certainly not in your 20s or teens. And there's trades you have to make, and there's things you have to do to watch out for yourself. So what's it like? What's that like for you?
As a trainer myself, my youngest client's 10, my oldest was 105. Now I think my oldest is like 81. Everybody has abilities. Some have greater, some have worse, but again, the first thing you want to do is move. If it's simple as, I've got people coming in with knee injuries, shoulder injuries. Flexibility is one of the biggest things. Balance, core strength. You have to have core. And people make fun of me, but I tell them grip. They're like, why do you do so much grip? And I'm like, the reason I do so much grip with my clients is because if you start to stumble and you can't grab something and hold yourself up, you're going to the ground.
Two of the top indicators for longevity and a long health span are cardiorespiratory fitness, your VO2 max, and grip strength.
Grip strength. Yep.
It's so important.
It's so important.
You and I train very similarly, and we know, we've seen each other's stuff. We know how that we work, and I think that we train a lot, very similar fashion. So I'm not bringing somebody in. Now I will, if you're a power lifter. I don't know very many of them, but I can train you for that.
Right.
I don't want to train you for that because I don't find it very useful.
Right.
And I want the word that I use over and over again is capability. Now, if you're in a place where you need to, if you're a superhero and you need to lift cars off of people and whatever, then that's fine. You can be a power lifter. But there's some mobility issues there. There's some wear and tear on the body that I don't think is very good for you, particularly when you get to be up there in age, close, our age. But capability is my thing. And you mentioned a few words, balance. I do a lot of work with balance, confidence. You would be, not you because you're in this world, but I think people would be very surprised to find out how reticent people are to actually do things like get their feet up off the ground, like jumping up and grabbing a bar.
Right.
Even athletes. I've trained athletes who I notice when we're working on some of the ninja and parkour stuff that where it does involve getting your eyes up off the ground and reaching up to do a grab, that they can't get their feet up off the ground. They're dragging that one safety foot, right? And then so they can't execute the move. So I work a lot on movement confidence, on balance and core, and just your proprioception. Do a lot of work with proprioception, because I think those are the things that are gonna take you out past
your comfort zone.
They're gonna take you past the pretty factor of being fit and into the useful and capable factor of being
I always
fit.
say functional. What word? Functionality.
Functionality. Yeah.
Yes. So my main thing, like when I first started, I was all about and I'm not saying CrossFit's bad. That's where I got my start.
I think a lot of us did too. I did CrossFit for a while.
I did it and I loved it. But then I started thinking, I'm like, I'm going to hurt myself because first of all, I'm trying to do this at my house with no trainer watching me, my form and stuff like that. And then I started thinking like, if I need to pick up a car in that moment, my adrenaline should be pumping enough to pick that up. But I would rather lift up 35 pounds 100 times than 300 pounds once. Repeatable functional movement is where it's at. Even till you're talking about balance, like you would be surprised how many people can't put their hand out and pick one foot up and stay balanced.
Yeah.
And you have to. I mean, we're in South Carolina where there's rocks and hills, and you have to be able to walk.
My wife is a hiker. That's her passion. And when I work with her, and yes, we do. We work. I train her.
Yes.
We've been married. We'll be married 27 years this year. And so it's been a long road to be able to get there. And it ain't easy.
I'd say
it's rocky, but that's what I train her predominantly to do, is to not only execute her responsibilities as a human, but to engage in the activity that brings her authentic joy, which is hiking. And so I work on her foot placement and her hip strength and movement and flexibility and all that kind of stuff.
And that's what I was going to say.
And her strength.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that's another thing when it comes to fitness. If you hate going to the gym, going somewhere, doing something, you're not going to continually do it. Ninja for me brings me great joy. I love doing it. I love challenging myself to do different things. I love training people and seeing the outcome of changing somebody's life. But if you're going to the gym and you're just getting on the treadmill just to run and you don't have a purpose and a why, you're not going to stick with it.
You're going to fizzle out.
You're going to fizzle out.
You're going to get frustrated, and you're going to end up back on the couch and in a mental state that you're depressed.
Right.
And you don't understand why you can't make this work.
And physical activity drops, or you get a dopamine drop. That's why people talk about runner's high and all that stuff. It is.
Yeah, it reduces cortisol.
Right.
I talk about this too. Walking. If you do nothing else in this life, get up and go for a walk.
Go for a walk. Movement.
But the simple act of walking these days in the digital world, it has benefits way beyond physical. You disengage from these screens. You get your eyes up from near and focus on middle and far distance. You get yourself out of this data stream. But that's where I want to talk about is I see people walking and they're in their phones.
That's why I brought you this.
What'd you bring me?
Flop balls. Look at these. Here you go. This is a guy, Paul made these. I don't know. It's flopball.com. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Paul, flopball.com. This thing right here keeps me off my phone.
Truthfully. I see you doing this, and I see Ryan Stratz doing this too.
Says you can go around the mic, under the mic, over the mic. Anyway, this, talking about the digital world, though, I give these to kids. I just had a client of mine give me like 50. And I give these out to kids if I'm out and about. That's my logo, garage. But they help. And that's the True Chalk all grip, no slip. They sponsored me.
But what you're getting at is disengaging the brain and really getting into that kind of activity, getting your eyes and your hands working together.
This helps, and it gets you off the screen.
Yeah.
So in between clients, like people think they laugh at me for flopping this thing, but it really eye-hand coordination. It gets my brain off of it. It makes me look, and I'm not on my phone scrolling. Yeah.
So when you go for a walk, hit Shane up and have him give you or buy some of these from him and disengage your brain. But yeah, the act of going outside, breathing the air, disengaging, getting your eyes away from the screens, and maybe you even walk with someone. Right. And you talk.
Have a conversation.
You communicate and have a conversation.
Off the phone.
And I do, because of schedules and things like that, whenever I run or walk, we try to make, particularly in time's about to change in a week, so we'll get more daylight in the evening. And the two of us, because of her work and because of what I do, we will be able to walk together in the evenings again, and with the dogs. And I really enjoy that. And we have a lack of connection and a lack of communication, personal. Picking up your phone and texting somebody or even FaceTiming somebody is not connection.
Not connection.
So get out of the phone, put your phone away. But I'm one who I will listen. I actually listen to podcasts.
Right.
I don't listen to music when I run. I listen to podcasts.
Learn something.
To me, listening to a podcast is found time.
Right.
It's the only way in the world that there is no such thing as multitasking. You can't do two things equally well or more than one thing equally well. Something's going to suffer. But this is about the only thing where it's like found time, because I can listen to a podcast
and walk
while I'm walking or running or working out or whatever. Right. But even if you do that, and I encourage that, I still encourage you to reserve some time in your run or your walk to take the earbuds out and just
decompress,
because we do not let our minds wander anymore. We don't think of what this digital age has done to thought, to free thought. The greatest catalyst for ideas and creativity is boredom.
Right.
And we have removed all of boredom.
Right.
Because it's a 1/12 of a second. People can't even wait till their car stops at the light before they're up. You can't be bored for half a second before you're in here. I wonder how long it's going to be before human beings evolve into this shape.
Right.
Where the elbow is bent and the thumb is hovered and the hand, like some kind of dystopian Lego man like that. Anyway, I could rant about that for days and days. I want to touch on one thing in particular before we get out of here. I think I've seen your videos and your photos and your posts and things like that, and you train. Do you think is the majority of your clientele women, or is it pretty even, or
3/4
women,
75% female?
Me too.
Yes,
and this bugs me.
And
here's why it bugs me. It does not bug me because I don't like training women, because I love training women, because women get after it.
They do.
They're focused.
So most of my women let their husbands come to try one time, and their ego gets in the way, and they try to push themselves, and the next thing you know, they're throwing up, or they're hurt, or they're whatever, and they don't realize what their wife has been doing, and they try to do more than their wife or whatever. But then I got men that come in and they're just like, Shane, I just need you. And they release themselves to me to create. They tell me what they want, but to create what I believe they want, instead of going like, I can do it on my own. I can do it by myself. I don't need another man to tell me what to do. And that is a big problem in our generation. I think that we as men, again, I'm not a good friend. I told you that because I tell you exactly what you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth. And we can't handle that. A lot of us can't handle, like my wife said, you're fat, or, hey, the way you're doing lifting is wrong. And they're like, oh, I'm never coming back to him because he doesn't think I know what I'm doing. So is that what you feel like why you don't have a lot, or do you think men just think they can do it on their own?
I don't even get there, because I have not, since I started my business, my personal training business. I do group classes and individual training and online stuff, and 95% of my clientele is women, and I love them.
Yes,
but this is what I want to ask you. When I look around and I see young men, 18, 17, 25, 35, I see what kind of shape young men are in these days, and it breaks my heart.
Yes.
And I look at you and I think you're not, like we talked about earlier, you're not living up to your potential.
Right.
You have responsibilities. Here's the harsh truth. You have responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
You have people that love you. You have people that need you. You have people that rely on you, especially if you're a dad.
Right. Just be a
if
man.
you're a young dad, if you're a husband, if you're a caretaker for your parents, for your elderly parents, if you are a volunteer at the church, whatever, you are not living up to your potential.
Full, yeah. And also, I don't care what anybody says, the dad bod, women don't like that.
It's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's been marketed
That
to
it
be
is.
okay,
Right.
to be acceptable. But again, you're less than capable. So let's circle that back to the men, because ladies, y'all are doing a pretty good job. Men, not so much.
Right.
What do we do? How do we get men back into the world of taking care of their body so that they can be more capable, so that they can be the man that the world needs them to be?
To me, I have a couple buddies that ask me for help, and I tell them the honest truth when they're coming and they're doing, and I see them out doing things that they're not supposed to. Not saying they're not supposed to, but that is hurting their goals. I'm like, bro, you shouldn't be doing that. They're like, oh, it's just tonight. And I'm like, but one night turns into two.
Setting patterns.
Right, setting patterns. So
Giving
I think
yourself that little mental excuse and setting that pattern.
I think men as men should just talk to men as men and not accept. Because again, if my son doesn't open the door, I'm like, hey, why didn't you open the door? Or whatever. You just have to instill. And again, we have to bring it back down to the younger ones, train them. My wife says my nephew's living with me right now. He's been living with us for a year, and she says I'm too hard on him. But if he empties the dishwasher and he leaves a cup on it and he's upstairs, I make him come down all the way the stairs, grab the cup off the counter and put it up. And she's like, why don't you just do it? And I'm like, because if I do it, he won't learn.
That's exactly right. And that's one of the hardest things about being a parent is not just doing it yourself for expedience, for time's sake. Like, this would be so much easier.
Right.
But then you're taking away from the life experience.
I changed oil with my kids. I can change oil pretty fast. My 17-year-old, when he got his first car, wanted to learn how to change oil. Took me an hour and a half to change oil because he wanted to know exactly. But guess what he can do now?
Yeah.
He can change his oil.
And he's not dependent on someone to
Right.
do that.
So-
I still remember the tire changing lesson with my daughter when she's probably 11 or 12.
Right.
We sat but because I actually had a flat tire, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember doing the tire changing lesson because I did other stuff with her, with vehicle maintenance that we just kind of did on the side, but we had a flat tire and I walked her through it and she did it. And I taught her, here's what I talk about with generational responsibility. It is up to us to take from our parents and grandparents, our forebears, what they brought, what they taught, figure out what's good and useful and take it with us. Figure out what's useless or crappy and cut it and leave it behind. Add our stuff to it and pass that to our kids so that they can do the same thing and keep that going. Yep. So my grandfather, her great-grandfather was channeled into that tire changing lesson because I remember when my grandfather taught me the proper way to remove lug nuts, that you opposite.
Cross corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And so I taught her that.
My
and
son,
now she has that.
He asked me that too. He's like, when you put it on to cross, go in a star pattern and he's like, why? And I was like, I'm glad you're asking because you could warp the tire, whatever, you know?
So what's a hip pocket tip or piece of advice or just a little piece of knowledge or wisdom that we can offer out there, that you can offer out there to get these men back on the fitness train or on the fitness train at all, to build a foundation or reinforce
men need to look around, be thankful of what they've got and protect it. If it's a wife, if it's a kid, or if it's just themselves, look in the mirror and go like, okay, am I being the best I can be? for the people around me, because you have to every day do something to better yourself so people can see it. First of all, I don't even know how to say it without like putting shame onto men, but we have got away from like being men. Like, go out and cut wood. Like, don't go to the dang store and buy $7 worth of wood if you're going to have a fire. Buy a $20 axe and go cut wood. And I know that sounds crazy, but there's so much convenience in this world that we don't use our hands. If you start using your hand, that's why I like hanging. I hate to say I feel like a man, but I feel like I've done something when my hands are dirty. And I think we just got to get our hands dirty. I think we've just got to get back to the root of it. I mean, 50 years ago, a man was in the field, plowing, living by the land. Now, it's too convenient to go get a can of green beans, not pick them off the vine. Like, we don't do it. Like, I only live on a little 7.8 acres, but we've got rabbits and chickens, and we've got things growing all year round to eat. And we go out and pick it off our garden. And I think that's what's helped me and my family understand the capability of living life to the fullest and not depending on somebody else to do it for you, and the convenience of it. Because truthfully, it's way convenient for me to go out into my chicken coop and get 6 eggs. It's way more convenient than going to the grocery store and getting eggs. But people don't realize it. And you don't have to have a lot of land. You don't have to have a lot of stuff. I know, I get it. Some people live inside the city. You're not really allowed to have chickens. But it's just that you could have a tomato.
The idea is scalable to wherever you live.
Right.
Is it be more self-reliant?
Be more self-reliant and not go for comfort.
Yeah.
Comfort is a losing. Comfort, when you get comfortable, you get comfortable. Get in that lazy chair, sit back, kick back. You don't want to get out of comfortability. I want to be uncomfortable in the things that I do, because I want to challenge myself on a day. And I want people to look at me at 55, even if I never get on the TV show or if I never whatever, I want people to look at me and go like, what, he's 55 and he's hanging from his bedroom door frame? Yes. How do you do that? Hard work. There was no little mushroom pill, no ashwagandha, none of this stuff. I just every day got up and hung on my door till I could do it. And it's every day, 1%. They say if you increase yourself by 1% every day, do something by 1% by the end of the year, you might be an expert at it.
I think that's probably a really good place to bring it in. Where can people find you?
Instagram, it's at all lowercases, smashed together, the Garage Ninja _warrior. TikTok, same, and then Facebook is Shane Lynn Frank. And
all right.
That's about it.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate your time, man. That was good.
Enjoyed it.
Yes.
See you.
See you.
All right. Thanks for spending time with me and Shane today on Balanced Fit Radio. If this conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who might need it. Let me leave you with this thought. You take nothing with you when you go. The most important thing you leave behind is your moral legacy. If you died right now and your life's body of work was left to stand on its own, laid bare before the world, would you be proud of what it said? You are not promised a tomorrow to do better. Until next time, be mindful, be fit, be capable and resolute, and move through life with a sense of purpose. And remember, your life, your potential. Peace out, homies, and I'll see y'all next time.